Taylor McHargue joins us, CBS Sports. We appreciate, Taylor, your time. Thank you very much. We'll get to the game you have Saturday that is an American Conference game in just a moment. But your thoughts on where we are with what A&M did coming back from 30-3 down. What were you more impressed with, the fact that they came back from 30-3 down and that South Carolina looked like the team a lot of people thought they were when they were up by 27?
Yeah, I would say more impressed with the fact that Texas A&M figured out a way to win that game and hold South Carolina scoreless in the second half. I mean, forget SEC play. If you get down 30-3 against anybody, I mean, the likelihood of pitching a shutout in the second half and going on that run. And I think it was also, for as poor as Marcell Reed looked in the first half and then turning it around. And, most of that production was made up for by the end of the third quarter. But, it's a testament to the character of that team to stay in the fight and not just completely tank in the locker room. Because I certainly didn't think that they were going to come back in that game because, again, they were moving the football. But I go back to the decision-making from Marcell Reed and a couple of the throws, especially that interception in the red zone where you're just saying, man, this is not their day. They were out of sorts the entire first half. I thought they came out incredibly flat in that first quarter and thought that this was a South Carolina team that maybe were not going to have the fight that they obviously did. But still incredibly impressive. And for Texas A&M, I mean, it's all but locked up that they will be, I think it has locked up now. They will be in the college football playoff. I don't anticipate them losing to Stanford this week. And even if they were to lose to Texas the following week, we will see them in the postseason. And so already a special year for the Aggies, but man, that could have been the end. If they had lost that game and then lose to Texas, I don't think that two-loss team with that loss to South Carolina would have gotten in.
Taylor, what does it tell you about their sustainability in the playoff?
Well, I think in the playoff, you're not going to come back from 30-3 down. So I think if you're Mike Elko, you're looking at your guys saying, let's let this be a learning lesson and let's make sure that we don't at any point the remainder of the way come out that flat. I don't even care if it's against Stanford. I mean, this is a team in Texas A&M that's too talented to have a lull like that. And you would imagine they'll be more sharp and focused when they get into the playoff. But for Marcell Reed especially, I think he can't have even a quarter that looks like that from that first half from last week. That can't happen again because for a team I do think they are talented enough that they can win the national championship this year. They've got the roster to do it, but they are not so talented that they can just roll their helmet out and beat anybody, especially once they get into the college football playoff. So I think if you're Mike Elko, obviously you're thankful that they came back and figured out a way to win. And you've got this story now to be able to tell them and say, look, let's use this as motivation because if we have even, again, a quarter that looks like that with how it did against South Carolina, you do that in the playoffs, you're beat, and that's the end of your season.
Do you think A&M is the best team? I know record-wise right now they are. Do you think they're the best team in the SEC? And if they are, then what is your second-best team? And if they're not, who is the best team in the league right now, in your opinion?
I think Georgia's the best team in the SEC right now. I think that's the team that Georgia and Ohio State would be the two teams that I would want to face the least right now out of anybody in the college football playoffs. I think the way that Texas Tech is playing, you could make an argument with how A&M looked a week ago. I think there's an argument that you could say I'd rather face A&M right now than I would Texas Tech, especially if you're having to go to Lubbock. Now, we all know the environment that Kyle Field will be if they end up hosting a home playoff game. That is going to be an absolute hornet's nest. But I think right now A&M's the second best team in the SEC. I think Alabama dropped them back. I think Oklahoma is interesting because they continue to find ways to win. That stretch that they just went on in league play on the road with both of those wins is incredible. I think they're also still not very good on offense. So I wouldn't be tremendously concerned about I shouldn't say that. Oklahoma is a team that they could beat anybody because of how good they are on the defensive side. But if you don't have sloppy takeaways like Alabama did, then I think most of these teams that you'd see in the playoff would beat Oklahoma on a neutral site, especially if they were at home. But to me, I would have Georgia at the top, and then I'd have A&M behind them.
If I would have texted you on Saturday night, and I would have said it's 14-10 Georgia, Texas had just scored, and Georgia had 4th and 2 at their 36, what is going to be the final score and who's going to win? Would you have said, oh, no, it's going to be good, 35-10 Georgia?
No, I thought that we would see a low-scoring game. I thought you would end up with something in the neighborhood of 20-10, 20-13, something where it's around that one score, maybe 10-ish points kind of line, and Georgia ends up pulling ahead and staying ahead because Texas, they are what they are on offense. It's just a limited offense. I think I have this right from earlier this week. Saw that the Texas in league play in the SEC, they're dead last in rush offense, and so not being able to run the football across the league, it doesn't matter really who they've played in league play. And then you have to go on the road to play at Georgia, who has maybe the best front in the SEC maybe they're behind Oklahoma. But no, to your point, Texas the defense kept them in the fight. And then for Georgia, the way that they pulled away, I think speaks more to the testament of the depth that they have right now and the quality. And it also, again, just shows that Texas, I think, it goes in spurts, it goes in waves for the Longhorns right now. And until they figure out a way to, if they can figure out a way to run the football, which I don't think they're going to fit, you're not fixing that in season. I think they are what they are. This is not a playoff team. I think it's a shame because they've got a really dynamic defense that's a national championship caliber defense, but it's just not matched on the offensive side. And if you're one dimensional, Arch Manning gets so much criticism this season, but I'm not sure that it really would matter who's at quarterback for Texas this year with their inability to run the football. You're not doing any quarterback any favors.
No, I think that was a thing that a lot of people overlooked, that you lose four starters in the offensive line, that, it's not just going to be plug and play anymore. Taylor, if you were Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin is kind of taking this tour right now, would you be stressing out, or do you think that they feel comfortable knowing that he's going to come back and this is him just playing LSU in Florida?
No, I'd be tremendously stressed out. I don't think Lane Kiffin, for his experience in his life and his coaching arc, so to speak, of everything going back to the Raiders and Tennessee, I do believe that Lane Kiffin is a different person, a different coach from who he was 15 years ago. So for him to go through this process, I don't think in any way is bluffing. I don't think he doesn't need to, because he's already got all the leverage with Ole Miss. If he didn't, Ole Miss would, giving an ultimatum to your head coach that's out looking around and saying, we need an answer by the Egg Bowl, or what? I mean, are they going to fire him? I don't think that Ole Miss they've got zero leverage at this point. So I would be stressed out. I would be surprised if he left for Florida right now. I'm not convinced that Florida is that much better of a job, if at all, than Ole Miss. And for LSU, if they didn't have some of the silliness and chaos that's been created by Brian Kelly, and you don't have an athletic director right now, and Brian Kelly's suing the school, I still think LSU is one of the top jobs in college football. But is that soured in this cycle? I don't know. But if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I've got two brothers-in-law that are Ole Miss fans, and I promise you, they're stressed right now about what's going to happen with this cycle, because it's looking more and more like he's leaving.
So one other thing on coaching, Deion Sanders, with all his health issues and just their struggles in general, I think it's fair to just speculate of like, man, can his body hold up? Like, can he be in this fight for much longer? What's that all going to look like? But it seemed like this week, without rubber stamping it, that he basically said, hey, I'm going to be here and we're going to fix it and we're going to get it all corrected. Where do you start, Taylor, for the Buffaloes, and how can they try to turn into a team that is back at a competitive level and with him in charge, kind of right this ship, I suppose?
Yeah, I would start with that if Deion walked away this season and they went 3-9, that he still has left Colorado in a better place than when he found it. And I think he deserves a ton of credit for all of the attention and the positivity that has been brought. Sure, some of it, you could make negative headlines about anything, but Coach Prime has done a great job of bringing a spotlight to that program, which was not that long ago. This was at the bottom of the Pac-12 for a period, the bottom of the Big 12. And now, even despite this season really not going well for them at all, look at the channels that they play on. Colorado doesn't ever get flexed to ESPN Plus, even when they stink. And I think that's a testament to they draw attention. Mm-hmm. People want to watch Coach Prime. And I think that's important. It's important for your NIL. It's important for your fan base. I thought, and I have no insider information, I just assumed with everything that you mentioned, that at the end of this season, that he'd probably hang it up and say, for a number of reasons that have nothing to do with football, maybe he was done. But credit to him if he's going to stay in the fight and come back next year and say, hey, we're going to fix this thing. Because a year ago, they have some success, but they've got a Shedeur, and then they've got a Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter. So there was some talent there a year ago that's not there right now. I think if Colorado's going to have a chance moving forward, they've got to fix the O-line play. They've got to go out and spend money in the portal to get top offensive linemen and play better defense on the other side. But to me, it starts with the offensive line group. So surprised that he's coming back. Again, I had no insider information. I hadn't talked to anybody there, but I thought that this would be the last season for Deion. And if he does come back and tries to build them back, give him a ton of credit.
The Big 12 needs them to be good, don't they?
I think so, but I also would say that the Big 12 is in really good shape right now from a health perspective. And Brett Yormark, I mean, look at what the disaster that the ACC is in right now. Right now, your top team, Miami, in terms of the college football playoff ranking, they're not going to play for the ACC championship in all likelihood. And so you're going to end up with one team that it's still not out of the realm of possibility that the ACC champion is behind the American Conference champion. And so just the health of the league for the Big 12, having 5 teams that are ranked, 3 in the top 12, and one that's a top 5 team, that if Texas Tech were to win out and they keep that 5 spot and they're playing a G5 representative in a first round, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better season with the Big 12 if they can sneak a second team in there, especially if somehow they get a third in Utah. So I know Colorado being better helps the league from an eyeballs and brand perspective, but the Big 12, this is by far the best year since the league has expanded and since the college football playoff has expanded.
Yeah, 3 in the top 12, even though 11 and 12 really aren't 11 and 12 because of others who would be inserted in those spots, but it's very healthy, and now can they finish it?
Yeah, Taylor, I think Texas Tech feels really good about winning these next 2, but there is this Cincy BYU game. It's in Cincinnati. Brennan Sorsby's not been playing well. Cincinnati's been in kind of a funk, but hey, it's still a road trip, and you never know with a young quarterback and all of that, as good as BYU has looked at times. What do you think about this game, and how wary do you think the Cougs should be rolling into the Queen City?
Well, I think Cincinnati's certainly capable of winning this game. They're plenty talented. I think there is a blueprint that's been laid out for how to beat Brennan Sorsby in that offense. And if you go all the way back to week 1 against Nebraska, you look at their loss against Utah and against Arizona, Brennan Sorsby does not throw the ball well when there's good man coverage. And I think that got him against Arizona. His second pick of the day, he tried to force it into a man-free look that he just should have never thrown it into. He struggled against Nebraska tremendously. And Utah did a great job getting after the quarterback. So I think for BYU, this game, and for all the great things that Bear Bachmeier has done as a freshman on the other side, this game to me is about the front for BYU, and can they play tight man defense if they decide to run that on the outside, which they're capable of. If they don't, and Cincinnati jumps on them early, if that offense gets rolling, I mean, think back to how they ran through Iowa State a few weeks ago, and I know BYU is a better team than Iowa State, but if they get some momentum at home, this absolutely is a Cincinnati team that's more than capable of winning this game. I think BYU will win this game. I don't think that if you look at the one loss for BYU this season and how Texas Tech beat them, it was all getting after the quarterback and getting them to 3rd and long. And I don't think Cincinnati is going to be capable of that nearly to the level that Texas Tech is. So this should be a really competitive game. I love that it's a night game. Nippert Stadium at night is a great environment, just a great college football environment. But I do think BYU will win this game.
You have UTSA and East Carolina. East Carolina at home can be really, really tough, and they can be tough to beat at other times. Jeff Traylor and UTSA had the big win against Tulane, obviously got smoked the next game, but where are they? Are they trying to get bowl eligible, and how important is this game for Traylor and the Roadrunners?
I didn't know. I hadn't done a UTSA game in a couple of years, but UTSA has the best home record since 2022 in all of college football. They just don't lose in the Alamo Dome. It's unbelievable. And in league play, I should have this memorized since our game's in 48 hours, but it's either 14 or 15 league games in a row that they've won, going all the way back to their days in Conference USA. So UTSA on the road, they have issues. They turn the football over. McCown makes some poor decisions when they're not in the Alamo Dome, but when they're there, they just don't lose. And so for East Carolina, we had calls with that staff today, and they talked about, you can see on tape, UTSA looks like they just have a different gear playing at home. So I think UTSA is a more talented team and should have a better record than they do right now at 5-5. But they also they should benefit from playing in the Dome. And for East Carolina, they had a huge win against Memphis. Quarterback play has been much better for them this year with Keaton Hauser. So this should be a great game. I think this will be a one-score game, barring some sort of crazy turnover stuff like Tulane did when they played UTSA a few weeks ago. But this also has potential. I'm not saying that East Carolina can still get into the college football playoff. They've only got one loss in league play. If they were to win the American and JMU were to slip up, it's not out of the realm that East Carolina could still end up sneaking into the college football playoff.
Thanks for your time, Taylor. Enjoyed. Travel safe. Thanks for your time. We'll talk to you next week. Well, I don't know. We may have a condensed next week because of Thanksgiving. I'll be in touch.
No, y'all are welcome to call me on Thanksgiving. We'll catch up.
There we go.